So these are all custom-made helmets that I was able to source and build, and I think this one's 100% accurate to what the team would wear. That was the first one I built, and of course when they made the orange face mask return, that one had to go in the collection. The uniforms were really just kind of an evolution of what I had grown up with. I grew up as a big NASCAR fan and loved all the paint schemes, and as soon as I got a new NASCAR video game or a NCAA or Madden football game for the GameCube, like my brother and I immediately went to the paint booth, create a team, create a uniform, and just played with that. And it just evolved into, I like the uniforms like what our teams wear, and realized that I wasn't the only one in the world like that.
Alabama Crimson Tide take on the Auburn Tigers here at Auburn Arena in Auburn, Alabama. Tigers were heading down the floor, and they still will head down the floor. Wallace, his layup is good, and the Tigers have the lead.
As a student, we went to everything. At the time, Auburn had the Auburn Ignited program for students to get rewards for showing up to games, and one year, I think I ended up at like number 2 on the leaderboard, just going to everything. And all the baseball games, all the basketball games, as many softball and swimming events as possible, tennis, anything we could get to, we went to. The site started in 2013, just kind of as a summer project as I was back home in Huntsville for the year. And, I had seen uniwatch.com, a couple of other websites that were just uniform focused. And it's like, I want to do something like this. There was a time it's like, I have no idea what the Auburn basketball team wore. So the website actually started as the Auburn basketball uniform database, and was able to answer the questions that I had of what was worn when and what did it look like, and mocking it up in Photoshop. And then it just quickly evolved into covering all the sports, expanding to football and dropping the basketball moniker from the name. And then the true Auburn uniform database was born.
And flanked to the right is Buford. Campbell pitches to Bo on a sweep to the short side. He broke the tackle. He's the 45 to 40. Jackson looks for running room. Hit from behind, got away. At the 25. He's in a foot race at the 20. To the 15. To the 10. Touchdown, Auburn!
My favorite football uniform has to be the old Bo Jackson orange face mask look. And thankfully we brought that back. But there's just something different about the 80s cut of the jersey, and just watching that 34 run. And Bo knew how to make a uniform look good, and he wore that design so well. I love that. I think Auburn's in a really good position to try something different if they need to. A navy helmet could look good depending on the striping, depending on the logo colorway. I don't really think an orange helmet would be great. Everybody wants to see blue pants. Now that baseball's got blue pants, it's kind of fired up the football team to hopefully get blue pants. I've seen so many concepts, and I've made so many concepts, and nothing really strikes me as we need to do this. So I think Auburn uniforms are pretty perfect, and there's not much you can do to change them. And honestly, the face masks are kind of the perfect avenue to play around with something different for now. My favorite basketball uniform so far was the Jared Harper, Bryce Brown Final Four look. The throwback Charles Barkley design. I think it was nearly perfect. My least favorite Auburn uniform currently would probably be the new softball grays. The darker gray doesn't work for me. The awkward collar doesn't work. If you dive back into the, what created the site, that late 90s, early 2000s basketball uniforms were what I dubbed the dark ages of basketball uniforms. Just, there are some bad looks in that. At some point in 2014, I got a response on Twitter from somebody asking what was Auburn football's record while Gus wore a certain vest, and was able to put together a nice template and image of all the number of vests that Gus had worn his first year. That was a fun project, and the concept uniforms really started in 2016 just as an opportunity to take fan submitted ideas and bring them to life, you know, and it quickly turned into just silly concepts. And a lot of people kind of get upset about it. Just, these are really stupid and dumb. It's like, that's the entire point. You know, we do the concepts just as, you know, as a fun, creative exercise during the summer, but also as proof that Auburn, especially Auburn football uniforms, are really good. There's not much we can do to fix them. And, you know, no matter what ideas we get, it kind of always goes back to, let's not touch anything. My collection started probably about 2012, right before I came to campus, and I found on eBay what looked to be a game-worn jersey for baseball, and thankfully I was able to confirm that was it. And, you know, that really just kind of was the bud that I needed. So the collection is probably about 100 items at this point, between jerseys, pants, shorts, warm-up tops, base layers, you know, everything. So it's been a guilty pleasure for sure. I know we're not a small business, but you know, small businesses don't usually last after 5 years. Websites probably have a much shorter tenure, and so for this thing to have lasted a decade and to have seen the growth that it has, and you know, I've got over 250 combined seasons of Auburn uniforms documented. So it's something I'm really proud of.